The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some independent OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to healthy living and weight loss will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may contain income or earnings representations of some independent OPTAVIA coaches. OPTAVIA makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with OPTAVIA results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the OPTAVIA income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.
Well, we're going to get things started off now. We're right at the time,
right at the
6:30. So 6:30 Mountain Time, our time. We're going to spend a little bit of time tonight just sharing some things with you. You're going to hear some stories. You're going to hear some things to help you with your mindset and stuff. We're going to talk about that. But what I want to do, and I love this, and we saw this weekend with Dr. A doing some of this and a lot of people doing this, and I'm a personal huge fan. I love starting things off with just a short little breathing exercise. So I want to have everybody just take a moment, and I want you to close your eyes. I want you to put your feet flat on the floor if you can, sit up straight. I want you to put your hands over your heart. And today is Earth Day. And so we just want to take a moment and just kind of center ourselves before this Zoom and enjoy this moment. So while for this next few minutes, I want you to just take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And while you're doing this exercise, I want you to think about one person, one individual in your life that you are incredibly grateful for. So in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose. While you're taking a deep breath, really feel the gratitude that you have for that person. Feel how grateful you are. Also think about this moment and how grateful you are that you are able to be here and spend some time and just learn and grow. And we're so grateful that you're here with us. And so
maybe a little extra love as we send it out to the earth on Earth Day. I love starting out with breathing. I love that the peace it gives me. And we're really excited today to talk to you about becoming the healthiest you with a growth mindset. So we are John and Kat Fuller.
We are independent OPTAVIA coaches, and we just love the journey that we've been on. We said yes to taking control of our health and taking control of our lives. Kat said, you know what, I want to pay it forward and I want to help some people. And I was blessed to catch the vision that she had and to join in with her. And we just love being able to share what we have. This is our wonderful family of 4 boys, and Kat is definitely outnumbered, and so grateful that she's willing to put up with all of us, because I'll tell you, it is putting up with all of us.
It's true, it is, but I've adopted a growth mindset with our family, so I can do anything, and I'm really grateful to be here tonight. So we want to talk a little bit first before we get going tonight. We want to know who's here with us tonight. So which describes you better? And please answer in the poll. We're going to have a few polls tonight, and we'd love for you to answer in the poll, not just in the chat, because we can't measure the chat. So please answer in the poll.
Are you an OPTAVIA coach? Are you an OPTAVIA client? Or are you just here as a guest? Somebody decided to invite you and you were like, you know what, let me check that out.
Yeah. We'll give you a second to answer that. Thank you so much for doing that. Looks like we have a lot of hello from all over the place. I love it. Love having all these people on tonight. So, all right, well, we're going to dive in. Tonight, we're diving into the Habits of Health Transformational System. And we want to take you with us on this little journey tonight. So if you haven't been working in your own life book or using the app or Habits of Health on your own, I invite you to check it out. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then talk to the person who invited you to watch this Zoom, and they can help hook you up with this amazing transformational system. Dr. Anderson designed it for us specifically, and we encourage you to engage. So tonight we're going to talk about being open and having a growth mindset. It's a great time. If you haven't started, it's the perfect time to get started with this. So our agenda tonight, as we get going, is that we are going to we're going to talk to you today about your mindset, your ability to look at the world from a new perspective. We're going to talk about some skills that we can gain so that we can do that, and how we can grow beyond the past and apply a growth mindset. And then we're also going to give you some action, some engaging in a healthy mind shift, and utilizing stop, challenge, and choose.
And I do want to say that Kat, like, this is one of Kat's fortes. I get to say this because I'm your husband, but we come from an experience where we've kind of always done personal development. We love that. And when we dove into OPTAVIA, she has definitely run with this concept of mindset. And so I really feel like this is one of her fortes, is sharing growth mindset and just this topic. And so I'm excited to learn from her as well today.
I'm so passionate about this topic. And I feel like as a child, I was actually raised with the growth mindset. We didn't have a word for it back then. At least we didn't teach it. But I grew up with a family who believed that anything was possible, and that really, really instilled a possibility of all things in me. And I'm really grateful for that. And that's probably why I'm so passionate about this. So there are two mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And they affect how we do almost everything in our lives. So people with a fixed mindset, we believe that our qualities are fixed, they're unchangeable, then they're inherent. They think that natural talent leads to success. Now, how many of you out there have ever thought, oh my gosh, that person is so talented, they've got it all figured out, or they were born like that? Exactly, yeah, I see it in the chat already. People are like, yeah, we do that a lot. Or they're so smart, they're naturally so smart, right? We're not giving them the credit that they deserve and working hard to achieve what they've achieved in their lives. And we're kind of adopting that fixed mindset with that. People with a fixed mindset think that everything they do reflects on them personally, and they spend a lot of time in the drama triangle. As you can see, Dr. Anderson said that. People with a growth mindset believe that learning and intelligence are always improvable and can improve any experience, and that effort has a direct impact on success. So our effort and the system that we go through, the process, we can fall in love with the process of getting healthier. We can fall in love with the process of adopting healthy habits, and that's where we engage our growth mindset. So we can always improve our intelligence and our skills. So let's talk a little bit more about mindset. Let's dive in a little bit more with this. So what if you started practicing seeing the world from a new perspective? What if, instead of looking at the world from a place of things happening to you, you looked at the world as things happening for you? How can I learn and grow from this experience? What if we started viewing challenges as opportunities, and we embrace challenges and opportunities as the way to learn and grow? The more we challenge ourselves and to achieve a healthier lifestyle, the more opportunities we open up for ourselves. So another thing that we can do is we can choose learning over approval. Because if we're more concerned with being accepted by others, we can lose perspective of the real benefits of reaching any of our goals. So I am really excited to share with you a story. I'm going to let John do the introduction, but this is someone I have seen this change. I've seen this person take the world from a new perspective.
Well, I just want to quickly introduce our dear friend, Shantay. She recently started on the program, and it's been amazing to watch her growth and how she as an individual has changed over time. So Shantay, if you want to hop on here and just share your story with us and share the difference that mindset has made in your life.
Oh, wow. You guys make me cry, just your introduction. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to get to be here. And I really hope that with your breathing exercise that you all just have open hearts and can feel the love that I'm sending you. And I'm excited that one day we'll all just get to meet and be friends somewhere awesome. I'm just a normal person, just like everybody else. I have a busy household. In the picture, you can see I've got 5 kiddos, 2 sets of twins. I'm not exaggerating, that's a real thing. We've got 13-year-old boys and a singleton in the middle. He's 10, and then boy girl at the bottom, they're 7. Our house is quiet for about 10 seconds and it maybe stays clean for about 10 minutes. I have ups and downs every day, just like all of us. We've been married for just under 15 years and I am 35, almost 36. I'm an art teacher at our local elementary school, and I love that I get to see 200 kids a day, every day, and I'm loving getting to remind them to be creative while we're at home and to have that outlet all the time. I love nature, and I love being outside, and I have learned that I love running, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. Let's jump backwards, though, to my past. I have had chronic pain always. I don't remember a time that I haven't. I've had chronic pain my whole life. I remember my sweet mama taking me all the time throughout my high school years to try to find answers. And throughout my whole marriage, I've either been in the emergency room or in a hospital bed or in surgery at least once a year, and oftentimes more than that. Been diagnosed with all sorts of things, and the doctors have said, we don't know what to do to help you. I would come home from a long day of work and feel so exhausted that I would have to lay down most of the times for the night. My husband would pick up the slack and make dinner, and I would just hope that I'd get enough rest for the next day. I felt like I was always just coping with how I felt and my pain I was feeling. Okay, I started OPTAVIA, and in one of my first calls with coaches, they said, okay, Shantay, stop looking at the past. Let's look at the future. And honestly, I was kind of mad. I wanted to shake them. I wanted to say, can't you see all of these things that I'm dealing with? Don't I get a gold star for like working so hard at trying to be okay, even though I'm not? I wanted them to recognize all of the heartache and the hard things that I had done. But this is where growth mindset came in. They taught me, well, do you always wait for something wrong to happen? Are you just waiting for something bad to happen? And the truth was, I was just waiting. They asked me if I could picture a future. At the time, I could not. Luckily, they taught me the skills that I needed to start to envision these things and to create a future that is like bursting. I hope you can feel it. My future is bursting with hope and with brightness. Okay, sorry, I'm getting emotional telling you guys. It's so fun to share this with you. They've taught me that I can reshape my thoughts. It's so funny. At dinner, my kids will often say things like, Mom, I'm sorry you can't have this pizza or this cake. And my response is the same every time. I can have that pizza or cake. I'm choosing not to. I'm choosing to eat my lean and green or my fueling because I know I'll feel better. Often I'll make leans and greens that look the same or are similar to what they're eating so I can feel a part of the event, but I still feel good and I want to carry on instead of feeling like I have to go rest. Okay, I told you that I had learned to love running. In August last year, my husband and I did a Ragnar. We did the Teton Trail Ragnar. It's not your normal Ragnar. I ran in less than 3 miles. I gained 2,000 feet of elevation on top of rocks and on a tiny trail, super steep. And I did do it. I ran 15 miles in 24 hours, but I was miserable. I didn't feel good enough to train, and I just did the grind to get through it. But this is the best part. My husband and I went running this weekend on Saturday. I've only ran a couple times this year, just a mile here or there, and we didn't have a destination. We ran 5 miles. I've only been out a couple times, right? 5 miles, and I felt so good. I felt so good. In fact, I felt so good that when we got home, I decided we should paint our bedroom. We cleared out all of our furniture, we prepped it, we painted it, we put it back together. We got the kids set up, we cleaned the house, and we went on a date. The icing on the cake is the next day, I still felt good. We had a great family day, complete with hiking up the side of a mountain at sunset. Now, a while back, I read a blog, and this woman was telling how frustrated she was that her house was always a mess. How come nobody could pick up after themselves? She said something that stuck with me. She said, well, what if I just put something into action? What if I just do something, anything? And from then on, she spent 10 minutes a day doing something to clean her house. This is what OPTAVIA has done for me. It's given me something to put into action. And now I have a mindset, a skill set, and an action to have my dreams come true. Okay, so I have lost 20 pounds. It's just crazy. It's crazy to say out loud. I still need a bubble bath now and then, right? We need some self-care, but I don't feel like I have to go lay down just to make it through the next minute. The other night, we were eating dinner, and my special man in the middle, the one that's not a twin, he said, Mom, I used to worry about you all the time. And I realized that you don't have to go rest every day like you used to. What a gift. What a gift that I can give my family, knowing that they're not worrying about me anymore, and that I can give myself, because I get to choose what I do with my time. I get to choose what I'm going to do with my life. Okay, I'm going to call you all friends now. Okay, we're friends. Friends, change your mindset. If you find yourself saying, I can't, finish the sentence with yet. I can't run 15 miles yet, but I'm going to be able to, and I'm going to feel so good every single step of it. I can't wait to hear what you all accomplish with this growth mindset. And Kat and John, thank you so much for the opportunity to share my story.
Wow.
Wow. Shantay, oh my
and
gosh.
I want to know, like, what does your future look like now?
Oh man, it's like unmeasurable, right? I just get to choose. I don't know.
I love it. I love it. That's so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing.
And I just want to thank you for making me cry right there,
Yeah.
because sincerely, I felt your energy, and I certainly hope that everyone else did too.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I've been watching the chat, and people are in tears. That was very inspiring and wonderful, and this is why we're friends.
All of us.
It is. We're all here together. We all want to be better. All right, I have another poll I want to do with you all as we go into some of what Shantay kind of gave us such a great backbone on the rest of the call for what we're going to share today. So when you are in an argument, do you find it important to be right above everything else? Do you find yourself quick to point blame on yourself or the other? I'm going to just add that. Do you feel sorry for yourself? Or do you seek to understand what the other person is saying? I'm going to remind everybody to answer the poll in the poll rather than in the chat if you can. And I'm really excited to see these results when they come back. So we'll give you a minute to fill them out. You want to mark it for us? I liked John's answer. That was a good one. So think about it when you're in an argument, what place you typically go. And if there's one more than the other, just choose that. Or if you're like, well, I'm sometimes this, I'm sometimes that, just pick one. And I think we're about ready for us to see those results. Oh, I love this. We have some good, I love seeing this. This is great. So we have 13% finds it's important to be right above everything else. I'm honestly, these people must be practicing what we're preaching today, because I think that's a really low percentage for what the rest of the world outside of OPTAVIA would look like. I'm just guessing. 20% find themselves quick to point blame. I think a lot of those people may be like me, who are, I blame myself instantly. If there's an argument, I must have done something wrong. So that would have been my answer. Sorry. I'd like to say that I have a growth mindset all the time, but I don't necessarily. And 11% feel sorry for themselves, and 57% seek to understand what the other person is saying. Look at that shows what kind of people we are surrounding ourselves with in this community, that more than half of the people who answered this poll seek to understand the other person in the time they're in an argument. That's pretty amazing.
I want to say something. If you were one of the first three, that's okay.
Yep.
Just use what we're learning tonight to learn how you can move from that place that you're currently at to the bottom answer, really, and to seek to understand.
Yeah.
Because you're not broken. There's nothing to fix. It's just we get to work together to create a better mindset.
So true. So I want to teach you a little bit about this model, and those of you who are familiar with the Habits of Health transformational system have certainly seen this before. And if you've been paying attention to the webinars, then in the podcast, you've definitely seen this model. But this model, below and above the line, I kind of want to give a little different spin. Sometimes we just talk about it being above and below the line, good, bad. I want to open your mind to that this model, it is a binary model. You're either one or the other, but it's okay to be wherever you are. Being above the line isn't good, being below the line isn't bad. Now, here we are in this community where 57% of you just said you want to understand what the other person is, where they're coming from. So you prefer having a growth mindset. We prefer that. More than half of us here prefer that, but it doesn't make everybody else wrong. It just is. And when we think things should be a certain way, and we find ourselves below the line trying to prove we are right, in the poll, the first three responses were technically below the line. And like I said, above the line is where the growth mindset lives, and that's where a lot of you seem to prefer to be. But there is also wisdom in below and above the line. So I just want to open your mind to recognizing that the wisdom comes from recognizing where you are more than where you are. It's more important to know where you are than to be where you are. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But knowing where you are is important. And if you're willing, if you want to stay where you are, that's okay. It just is. That's just where you prefer to be. And that's okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the drama triangle. And I mentioned this, that Dr. A had a quote that people who live in a fixed mindset tend to kind of play in this space. So this is the drama triangle. It's in element 4 of the life book, if you want to go look it up. There are three key players here. As you can see, there's the victim, the villain, and the hero. Now, you can play any of them or all three of them in any situation. And in all of these roles we play in the drama triangle, we are at the effect of someone or something else. It's not fair. They did it wrong. Oh, now I have to go fix everything. We are all addicted to drama in some parts of our lives. And the main point I want to drive home tonight is to recognize when you're playing in the drama triangle, you're focusing on things that are out of your control. And that leads to suffering. Okay, so think about where you live and if you're below the line or above the line most of the time, and if you have spent time in these roles, and think about if that's where you prefer to be, or would you prefer empowerment? And this is what Dr. Anderson talks about in Habits of Health and everything he teaches, is that when we decide to take responsibility and be the dominant force in our own lives, that we become the creator. We're in charge of what happens. We create our own story. We become open and curious to learning. We realize the obstacles are the way. We can help others get better rather than doing it for them and empower others to be successful. How many of us jump in and save our kids all the time? What if we didn't? What if we watched our kids experience life, the ups, the downs, all the emotions, and all the success and all the failure? Because really, failure is just feedback. So this is the empowerment triangle. And the point I want to drive home with the empowerment triangle is that happier people tend to spend a majority of their time focusing on things that are within their control. And that leads to happiness. So you may not be able to control the weather. If you can, I need to know how. But you may not be able to control the weather, but you can control how you react to the weather or the current climate we're in. You may not be able to control whether you're home with your family, but you can control your attitude and your mindset when you're there.
And I love that Shantay actually shared an example with us of choosing how to look at it and owning, hey, I get to look at this scenario I'm in and I get to, am I going to suffer through it or am I going to be happy? And Tony Robbins, I love Tony Robbins. He talks about living in a beautiful state versus a suffering state. And sometimes I kind of look at it as, above the line, beautiful state, below the line, suffering state, because very often that tends to be where it goes.
It is. I love that description. Thank you. So now we're going to jump into skill set a little bit and moving beyond the past, like Shantay talked about. We've just actually spent the time going through the skills of below and above the line. It just is, and it's right now. It's not where we were yesterday. It's not where we're going tomorrow. It's not about the past. It's about right now. So we have tools and knowledge now to make adjustments. If we want to shift, we can shift. And we're going to talk a little bit about the action in just a sec. And then give yourself some grace as you continue to improve slowly and steadily. We are not robots. We cannot change our programming and all of a sudden do everything perfectly. We're human. And there are human emotions and experiences that go in our lives for a reason. And so give yourself a little grace, but work on progressively moving and steadily going, moving forward despite the obstacles that we see in our way. So now we're talking about action. And this model is one of the greatest models of, I think, of just taking charge of your thoughts and your actions, of anything I've ever studied and seen in my life. Stop, challenge, choose is this model. Now, when you find yourself in the drama triangle, down below the space, and you're not comfortable there, you don't want to stay there, you want things to change, then you can make a choice to shift, to breathe, to stop, and challenge the thoughts you're having. Are these thoughts and actions going to support the goals that I have? If they are, then do them. If they aren't, then maybe challenge that. Why am I here? What am I doing? Do I prefer to live in this space below the line right now? Maybe I'm not ready to shift. So this model is so powerful. And what we really want to do is shift into presence. It's never about the future or about the past. It's always about where we are right now. So what we want to do with Stop, Challenge, Choose is create space between the stimulus and response. And as Viktor Frankl says, in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and freedom. Dr. A talks about how when we have an internal stability and an external equilibrium, each day of your life will become all out magical. And those are his words, 100% true.
And as you spend more time with Dr. A, you'll understand and see that in him, that he really wants people to live that magical life. So we're so grateful that you spent some time with us here tonight. Let us know how the community time was for you tonight. Please rate this time. Was it excellent, very good, good, below average, poor? We want to hear from you. And we want to hear from you so we can get better. Because we always
welcome feedback. That is part of our
living above the line,
and having a growth mindset. Feedback is so important for growth. So, and we want to make sure you're aware of these resources we have. If you haven't texted yet, OPTAVIA 30 to the number you see on the screen, 99,000, then do it, and you'll get reminders for this. All the recordings are available on the YouTube playlist, OPTAVIA's YouTube playlist, and you can also check in any podcast app. You can look for Habits of Health, OPTAVIA Habits of Health podcast, and find them there. So we invite you to stick around with us tonight as we move along into our next community time. We're going to hear some really inspiring and wonderful stories. There, I couldn't get it to change. Oh, I forgot. Super important to announce next week. We have the amazing Michelle Heyman teaching us from Element 9, Reaching Your Healthy Weight, Faster with Nutritious Fuelings. This is so going to be amazing. So make sure you're here same time, same channel next week.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some independent OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may have contained income or earnings representations of some independent OPTAVIA coaches. OPTAVIA makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with OPTAVIA results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the OPTAVIA income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.